Joined now by our Canadians insider for Sportsnet.ca. The guy comes to work with a broken leg, makes the rest of us look bad. Eric Engels.
Yeah, Chantal, highlight of my week, Michel Terrien asked me what happened to me, and then he answered the question himself and just said, tough year, eh? The guy hasn't lost his sense of humor. I was pretty amused.
Well, there's enough lower body injuries to go around. Let's talk about that one. Not that yours isn't big as well, but Carey Price's recovery has seemed to take a bit of a setback. Is there something to that, or is that just perception?
Well, I think what Michel Terrien stated clearly is that he hasn't suffered a setback. He just hasn't made it to the next stage of his recovery, which is putting on the pads and getting on the ice with his teammates. And I don't know if he's far away from it. I've seen him around the rink over the last couple of days. He's kind of been lurking in the shadows, and I've been late coming out of the room, and he's been entering and not wanting to be seen by anybody, really. But the amount of work that Carey Price is putting in here, skating, the amount of work he's doing off the ice is tremendous. And if the Canadians were going to shut him down, I don't think he'd be going through all these efforts right now. So to those who want to say, I don't think we'll see him this year, I'd have to disagree with that notion based on the information I have. I think we will see Carey Price at some point this year.
And in the meantime, Ben Scrivens has been holding down the fort, at least this weekend. We'll see what happens tonight. Now, in front of net, let's talk about Jeff Petrie. So they announced today that he's out with a lower body injury. What happened?
Well, what happened was he's had a nagging injury going back to a couple of weeks ago. It's believed to be a groin injury, according to a couple sources I spoke to. Jeff Petrie, obviously an important part of this defense. The Sunday game against Carolina, he didn't play beyond the 11-minute mark of the third period, didn't play a shift in OT, never left the bench. It's believed it's not too serious. He's day-to-day for the moment. We'll track that as we go along this week, Chantal.
And Petrie's absence means Nathan Beaulieu gets back in the lineup. He was scratched both games this weekend. How's he dealt with that?
Well, he's trying to keep a positive attitude. Obviously, he's extremely frustrated. And one thing that he said to me today was the last time that he was scratched, within 7 days of that scratching against Detroit in the December 10th, he was playing on the top pairing with PK Subban. So he believes that Michel Terrien will give him the opportunity to prove himself here. Will he take advantage of it is the question. He wouldn't get specific on what he needs to improve. He just said overall he needs to be there. I think it's a question of focus and consistency, Chantal. Nathan Beaulieu has to be ready to play from the beginning of the puck dropping, and I think he could play a very big role in this game against Tampa Bay, where he's paired up with Mark Barberio, and there's a lot of incentive from the former Lightning defenseman in Barberio to beat this Tampa Bay Lightning team. Yeah,
speaking of Barberio, he was on the other side of this rivalry last season. What did he say today about his take on the matchup?
Well, what he said was, and it was really interesting, is that every time they saw Montreal coming up on the schedule, they wanted to hand them a beating last year because they were swept in the playoffs, and they wanted to prove to them that they could hang in that picture. I just spoke to John Cooper, head coach of the Tampa Bay Lightning, about that very notion, and he expects to see the best out of Montreal. And whether or not he was shocked about the developments of Montreal this season, he said he wasn't, and that obviously when you lose somebody like Carey Price, it's a big issue. But one thing he did say is they've managed to stick around in the standings, and if there's any team that was going to turn it around, he believes the Montreal Canadiens can. He's just hoping that it's not against his team, the Tampa Bay Lightning. This is a huge game for Montreal, Chantal. They have a chance to prove to themselves that they can hang with all the teams competing for a playoff spot, and it's definitely a 4-point game against a team that's only 6 points ahead in the standings, so I can't wait to watch it.
Me too, and Barberio was one of just 5 players who took the option to practice yesterday. Obviously, he is not taking his position for granted. Thanks, Eric.
Thank you.